Hey, hey.
Can you hear us okay?
You're a little fuzzy.
That's just me.
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gerry Kissel.
We're live right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got a few people already here. Hey, everybody. Let's see who's all here. We've got John Lee Reynolds. We got Jesus Ramirez. We have Anthony Serrano, Andrew R. Anderson, or Andrew P. Anderson. It's that Japanese guy you and I know from our private group. He's some kind of comic book writer.
Okay.
He's got that Japanese thing go for him whenever he gets in an argument. You and your white privilege, he goes, I'm Japanese. I'm just stuck with a really white guy's name. We got Jeff Heller, who I do work for at actually, I forget the name of the new magazine. They changed the name of the magazine. Steve Lowenthal's here.
I know Jeff.
And Jeff's a good friend of mine, plus I work for him occasionally. He likes my reviews. And then, of course, Alexandria City-Lay is here. Frizzell, she's a Frizzell. Drew Frizzell is her dad. Her and her mom are close friends of mine. I was her one of her scout leaders in Girl Scouts. Yeah,
all right.
I was Girl Scout. That's right.
I had no doubt.
And I taught her brother a horrible thing. Goofing around. He was the only boy around, and so I taught him how to do the sniff string through your nose and pull it out your mouth and freak girls out and flossing. And then he did it right in front of his mother with all the girls, and I'm like, no, not while I'm around. I was her one of her scout leaders in Girl Scouts. Yeah. Oh, what's going on? I'm hearing me.
Nope, that's my fault.
Yeah, turn that shit off. I hate hearing.
Yeah, technical issues.
All right, guys, ask some questions, man. You got Graham Nolan here. Anything? Yeah.
Well, let's start talking about the Chenoo then.
Well,
Yeah.
Did I get a notification that you fully funded it?
Yeah, funded it Saturday night in 10 days. So
Wow.
Now the idea is to push beyond that so that we can unlock all these different stretch goals.
Yep, the stretch goals.
Yeah.
What's the next stretch goal?
The next stretch goal is at 20,000, and everybody gets a trading card. The next one is 25, and you get everything. You know, just each stretch goal, everybody gets everything. So at 25, now you're getting the sticker, the trading card, and then a bookmark. And then the big one is at 30,000 because that's when we add story content. So there's going to be another 8 pages added to the story, which will tell the tale or tell a tale of the 1977 blizzard when the Chenoo first came to land. So I guess I should have started telling people what the story was about so that before I got into the basic idea is the Chenoo is a creature out of Native American lore. And he was at one time was a man who scarred his soul so badly, usually through cannibalism, that it turned him into this ice creature. And so the Chenoo comes, and this is my own addition to the mythology, he comes off the ice every once in 500-year storms. When the big storms come, the big blizzards, he comes off the ice to feed on the hearts of men, to try and reclaim the warmth that he could never have. So in 1977, during the Buffalo Storm, 23 people were deaths were attributed to the storm. But that's not the truth. Some of those people died from the Chenoo, but the officials don't want to talk about that. And now another storm is coming off of Lake Erie, bringing with it, terror, death. and the Chenoo. So, he ends up capturing a bunch of people in a house, and he can't enter it. And so he's trying to force them out any way he can. So it becomes a story of siege as these 6 strangers are locked in this house during the blizzard of the century, and this creature is surrounding him, trying to feed on them. So it's a really cool, claustrophobic, terrifying tale.
Very cool. I'm loving all the artwork that I'm seeing on it.
Thank you.
But then again, I'm a fan of your work. So, but let's see, Keith, you got some questions, buddy?
Let's see. Not off the top of my head right now. I'm still discombobulated from the beginning of the show. But I would ask this: how many projects have you funded like this?
Well, this is the first one I've done by myself.
Okay.
Monster Island and Return to Monster Island. Ominous Press ran the Kickstarter for that one.
Uh-huh.
And Chuck and I bumbled through a Indiegogo Joe Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know what we were doing, so we just completely messed that one up. So after experiencing a few of these, I figured now was the time to do it on my own again, because I learned a lot. And so far it's been paying off. It's doing very well.
Now, when you're doing this, you're unlike other projects you've worked with Chuck on, you're actually doing the writing as well on this.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been for you?
Well, I've written a lot of my own stuff. I wrote most of Joe Frankenstein. I wrote Monster Island, Return to Monster Island. I co-wrote some stuff with Chuck. I've written stories for DC, Tales of the Batcave, that I illustrated as well. I have a series at Aftershock that I'm writing that Brett Blevins is drawing. And so, I've always been very comfortable writing my own material.
Where would you put yourself as a writer? I mean, because like when I'm writing, I feel more comfortable writing than drawing. Mm-hmm. But I've been an artist professionally for 35 years. Mm-hmm. So where are you at on that?
Well,
where's your personal balance?
I've always considered myself a writer that draws and not an artist that writes.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, brain freeze again.
I'm working on this while we're talking. I'm looking at something right now for you.
Well, let me ask this, because I don't think I got a chance to ask you this the last time we talked to you.
Okay.
But you'd worked on the Phantom, and the Phantom is kind of a big deal here in the state of Missouri because that's the man that created the Phantom is actually from here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
And yeah. And what did you like best working with that particular character compared to, say, Batman?
Well, he's sort of Batman in the jungle, but a little bit more grounded. The thing I liked about the Phantom is, he's a guy who falls into the family business. He's not angst-ridden or scarred in any way. It's like, this is the family business. If they were shopkeepers, the oldest son becomes the shopkeeper. In this case, the Phantom, the oldest son becomes the next Phantom and continues the line. So I always thought that the Phantom enjoyed his work and what he did, which is why he would smile. You'd see the Phantom smile a lot, even if it was sort of a wry smile, like he's got the best of the bad guys. He didn't take shit from anybody. And he was very secure in who he was and what he does. And I like that in a hero.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually borrowed from one of your drawings to do in my book. And I even asked permission. Is it okay if I steal from you?
Which one was it?
You remember the one where the Phantom's on top of that Moroccan building with the moon in the background?
Oh yeah, the cover.
I stole it directly for a splash page and Vindicated. So
I don't remember seeing that.
It's not worth it. Actually, it's a pretty good drawing because I stole it from you.
My favorite Phantom drawing, that cover.
Yeah, I was very fond of that drawing. I'm like, damn it, I like the way he drew that. And Das Wolfen says, and the Phantom isn't a psychopath like Bruce Wayne.
Well, Bruce Wayne's only a psychopath since Frank Miller got a hold of him. Before that, he was like an errant knight on a crusade, and that's where his heroism came from. I can't stand that type of Batman because
Yeah, this is a discussion that you, Chuck, and I have gotten into in the past on Facebook. And I found it interesting that we're always, the three of us seem to be so in line until it comes to Batman, and then we just diverge from each other.
Well, I mean, there have been so many versions of the characters. I mean, of the character over 80 years. I mean, everybody's got, the Batman that best suits what they like. And that probably matches the Batman that was very popular when they discovered the character. For me, I've changed over the years, depending on how my life was going at that particular period, But for me, I'm a big fan of the version of Batman from Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
That's where I got into Batman.
Yeah. That's the one that I like, the kind of pseudo James Bond type version, world traveling Batman who still is a crusader, but he travels the world and he has adventures and
Yeah, I like when I don't like that they just leave him in Gotham City. I like when he goes around the world too.
Yeah, I concur. I liked that true detective version that came out of that period, Denny O'Neil and Adams.
Yeah, he was always a detective.
Yeah, and I always felt like when you were working on him with Chuck in particular, that it felt like that version of Batman that you guys were doing. What brought about Bane?
Oh, don't
That's
ask
a good question.
Everybody has Play back.
On your personal side.
Huh?
Because you had to come up with it. And I know how, what you guys went through, but you had to decide to do the luchador mask somehow, right?
Well, all of that came about because it was story driven. Chuck and I talked about, what they had decided this character was going to be, where he was going to be born and all that kind of stuff. So when it came to designing his outfit, I figured, well, what would this guy be exposed to? So because he was in this little Latin American country, I figured luchador, Mexican luchador, because he needed a mask and a costume. The original mask was a true luchador mask where his eyes and his nose and his mouth are exposed. Couple reasons for that. If you ever wore a mask, it's really hot and sweaty and you can't fight in it. That's why the wrestlers have all that stuff open.
Right.
And two, as an artist trying to have a character emote, I thought it would be kind of cool to be able to see his eyes and his mouth. But editorial decided they wanted a more mysterious look, so they closed it up. So rather than functionality, which I was going for, they went for mystery. And I think it was a good call. I really do. Although I still would have kept the mouth open.
That's interesting. What are your favorite and least favorite? Let's start with your favorite interpretations of Bane.
In other media?
Mm-hmm.
The Batman the Animated Series. It's my favorite.
Right.
They really captured the spirit of him. Henry Silva did the Latino accent. They gave him my original mask. That is without a doubt my favorite.
That's interesting. What's your least favorite?
Everything else.
Everything. Well, what about Gotham City? Gotham, wasn't that a great iteration of your character?
That's a hard no.
I know it actually. I couldn't finish that episode. I was so angry. I tried to give that show a chance, and it pissed me off a lot when they would bring classic characters there and do them incorrectly. Keith, what is yours?
Well, yeah, oh man, my favorite version of Bane.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I have a favorite version and a particular episode because I agree with you. It's Batman the Animated Series, but I think the best version was from the episode Over the Edge because that could have easily have been its own feature. It was it's both Bane, but it's also the Scarecrow. It's got Batgirl. It's got Robin. It's got Batman. It's got Commissioner Gordon. It's got everything, and it has the best beginning of any episode I've ever seen, which is the police, the Gotham City police, just breaking down the doors of the Batcave and making their way down there and shooting up the place. And it's an amazing episode. It's just too short, in my opinion. It's just way too short. I wish it were longer. It could have been a feature.
I think all of us pretty much agree that the animated series was the best iteration of Batman. Outside of, I like the Chris Nolan. No relationship to you other than probably long bloodline to Graham and because your brother's name is Chris too.
It is.
I was like, what the hell? First time because he friended me. And, it's like I'm like, why is Christopher Nolan? Oh, it's Graham's brother. But we got some questions, guys. Charlie Bruce asks, Graham, when creating a project, do you come up with the visuals or the story first?
Story first.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
the
you go,
story
Charlie.
always comes first.
And then he has another question. Is there such a thing as too many chefs in the creating comics kitchen?
Oh, absolutely. I think the best works are those unique ones where you have a writer-artist because the vision is pure. The artistic vision is pure. There's a lot of great collaborations, to be sure, but when you get that magic where somebody does it all, then it's a unique vision, and I always appreciate that. It's like if I was reading Tour by Joe Kubert, stuff that he wrote and illustrated. Now, as much as, I love, let's say, Klaus Janson as an inker, I wouldn't want to see him inking Joe Kubert. I want to see Joe Kubert ink Joe Kubert,
I do think that it's important to have inkers that match the artists. Because, there was that period back in the late 60s where I can't remember the inker's name that just was terrible with Jack Kirby. And I think that's who it was. I always forget his name.
Now, everybody vilifies Vinny, but I love Vinny's work on Thor.
No, that is who it is. And yes, I agreed. He was great on Thor.
Yeah, I thought Vinny's stuff on Thor was great.
I've always come to his defense saying, man, you don't understand the piecework that these guys were handed a lot of page work and had to get it done at a certain deadline. And that meant a lot of corners got cut. And it affected his work on working with Jack Kirby. It even affected Jack Kirby. Oh, we got a question from Steve Lowenthal, whom you also know.
Yeah, I know Steve.
Bane in the nighttime episode of Superman of the animated series was a good appearance. I guess that's more of a statement than a question. So,
I never saw it, so I'll assume that it's true.
Steve, you got any other questions there that are actual questions, not statements, Steve?
Well, look, Graham, growing up, obviously you've read a few comics. Who was the one artist who you thought to yourself, I can't touch what he's done. I can try. I mean, you can look at that person's work and you just have to shake your head and say, I don't know if I can do that?
All of them. All of those guys. I mean, I copied so many drawings of John Romita and Kurt Swan and
Wow.
John Buscema and stuff. And sometimes I have to do it half a dozen times, and I still never got it right. The proportions or something. It's like it was almost like it was magical that they could do. I think that's they were such great draftsmen that from that era, and then years down the road, you get people drawing comics from comics, and it waters down the quality, I think, and it distills it down to just the bare basics, and it loses the nuances.
Wow.
I'm looking at your crowdfunding right now. How close are we to the next tier for the stretch goals?
What's the number?
Right now it is at, here, I'll throw it up on screen. I'm going to refresh this page.
$17,399? No,
it's refreshing. There we go.
Okay. So it's like almost 17.4. All right. So we've got 2,600.
To the next goal. All right.
To the next goal. Yep.
Cool.
Wow.
Cool. Very excited about this. How far are you with the book? You close to finishing it?
Just starting it. I just started laying it out today.
Oh, that's what that little sketch was. Okay.
Yeah, that was page 1.
Let's see.
Page 1.
I already closed it. I should have kept that one.
I've got 5 pages laid out, and the basic dialogue written for it. On the picture, you'll see. Well, it's not on that page, but you'll see the sketch, and then you'll see a yellow legal pad, and then I mark the page, the panel number, and I put in the basic dialogue, and that's always something that I'll revise as I go along, but it gets down on paper my thoughts of what I want them to say, and then I can go and figure out maybe a more clever way for them to say it or turn a phrase or something like that. So that's the process I work at. There it is.
Here.
Wow.
It's very old school, in my opinion, doing it this way.
So I'm doing this instead of I've been doing my layouts digitally for forever, but I'm doing this on paper this time because Billy Tucci gave me a great idea. Is like when it's all said and done, I can collect the layouts in like a little black and white comic, throw a cover on it, and put that in as a something somebody can get in the campaign, and
wow,
the whole comic of the basic rough ideas of the story. I think that was a really cool idea. So what I'll do is I'll scan this and I'll bring it into my Procreate and I'll throw a layer over it, and that's when I'll begin the pencils on it from that. And then
I love these roughs, and this is of course done by 8.5 by 11. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to have those. I would keep a stack of just layout pages that were really small, just to do quick layouts.
Mm-hmm.
But since I went to digital, which I recall when you went digital, we actually talked about it when you got your first Wacom.
No, I never got one.
Oh, what are you using then?
I use iPad Pro.
That was what you showed me early on, because that was what, 2013, 2014.
Yeah, I got the first generation iPad Pro and the pencil. And
I totally misunderstood. I thought you were working the same way I was with the Wacom style tablet. Okay.
Yeah. So I use Procreate. I did the entire book of The Expendables Go to Hell on the iPad Pro.
Yeah, a couple of my friends were really just loving on your artwork from The Expendables yesterday. They were talking to me about it, and I was like, yeah, damn straight it was. It's good shit.
That was a hard project, but it came out really great, I think.
Well, I'm stoked, but I know that I mean, three of my favorite things are involved with that book. Sly Stallone, Chuck, and Graham.
Yeah, well, perfect.
That's a well-rounded breakfast right there, my friend.
There it is. Protein, carbs, and fat. You can figure out which one is which.
Which one's the bacon? We all know it's fucking Chuck Dixon. Chuck's such a hoot. I want to go back to the beginning of because this is a question I wanted to ask you a long time ago. Were you scared shitless the first time you had a project thrown on you?
No, because I was prepared. I'd gone to the Kubert school. It was like an assignment. So I just treated it as such.
I was terrified. I didn't go to Kubert school.
Huh? The only time I've ever been scared was when I had to ink Dick Sprang.
Ooh.
And I did the layout for it, and then he changed it and made it very sprangy. And when the pencils came in the FedEx box, I almost pissed my pants because they looked every bit as tight as they would have in 1945. And the guy was 80-something years old. I mean, I saw that and I'm like, oh my God, this is different.
How do I ink that? I have to ink this exactly the way he penciled it.
Oh, well, I wanted to ink it like, what was his inker's name? The guy who used to ink all this stuff. It'll come to me. Charlie Paris. I wanted to give it that Charlie Paris look. And so, it's this shot of Bane, kind of German expressionist, this giant figure, and then these small figures of Batman and Robin, and he's wading through all these skulls and stuff, and they're standing amongst all these skulls. So the first things I started ink was the little skull heads in the background, just to warm up and get loose. I wouldn't touch. And then I went to Bane because it was comfortable, because it was my character. I figured out I can't screw this up, even if it's Dick Sprang, version. But then Batman and Robin were the last ones. I think Batman was the last figure that I inked. That was the only time I was ever scared.
Yeah, I totally get that. Let's see. Everybody read your comments, and then
how many of your heroes that you grew up with have you worked with?
Worked with or met? Because I met a bunch of
worked
them.
with.
Worked with. I got to work with Jim Aparo, Dick Sprang, Denny O'Neil. Trying to think. It's probably more I'm forgetting. A lot goes on in 35 years.
Well, you've met quite a few, and to get a chance to work with them, that would scare me. That would absolutely terrify me.
Oh, Tom Palmer. That's another one I got to work with. Who else? Yeah, I can't remember. It'll come to me, but I got to meet a lot of my heroes too. The two that I didn't get to meet that I regret were John Buscema and who was the other one? It was John Buscema and Kurt Swan.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't get to meet Kurt. But a lot of the other ones I did get to meet.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I met Jack Kirby, met Stan Lee, met Johnny Romita.
John Romita or his son?
Both.
Dad or son?
Both.
Oh, yeah. I love both those guys. They were the first real comic book artists that I paid attention to. Because I was talking with one of our fellow friends. My favorite comic book artists worked for Mad Magazine.
Oh yeah, great stuff.
It's like because those were the names I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Don Martin, even though technically he's not a comic book artist, I knew that guy's artwork and his name.
Very recognizable.
Yeah, and then of course Sergio Argoni, And then, of course, oh my God, I just had a brain fart. The big name that did all the likenesses for Star Trek, Superman, and all the movie tie-ins. Yes, Mort Drucker. My God, he was a god to me.
Mm.
And did he have an impact? Did Mad Magazine have an impact on you?
No, not at all. I didn't really read it.
I'm surprised, but
That wasn't my thing, man. I was into monster movies and superheroes and monster comics and westerns.
So I'm assuming you probably then read Creepy Magazine and all that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. See, I had a
My favorite was the Monster Times.
Mm.
It was a newspaper printed on newsprint, and it came out like every other week, and it looked just like the New York Times. Had the same type of font, but it said the Monster.
We didn't get that where I was at in Virginia for some
reason.
reason.
New York, it was pretty much primarily tri-state area stuff. But that was great because they also had articles on comics. And so that's where I first started seeing stuff about what was going on in comics at the time, was in the Monster Times.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of them.
Wow.
If you catch me looking to the right, I'm dealing with all the people that are coming in and looking for questions because I got to scroll through them. So I'm quiet. So Keith, you're allowed to take over when I do that.
Okay.
And this is where you hear me be a dick. Come on, Keith. Lift it up. Stop fanboying.
I'm sorry. It's hard. It's hard to do. It's Graham Nolan, man.
Well, I don't know. Just start talking. I'll talk about the Chenoo.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. We'll keep talking about it because we got several people in the room. So, how long have you had this idea to do the Chenoo?
The story came to me about it was either a year or 2 years ago. I was driving my daughter Mary into the city, and I was going by Lake Erie in the wintertime. It was cold and icy, and there was a storm coming across it. And I thought, wow, that's pretty foreboding. That would make a really cool horror venue that doesn't get explored that often, you know? And so I dropped it off. I went over to a coffee shop, and I wrote the whole thing down. Got on the internet.
Wow.
I looked up because I knew I wanted an ice creature, but I wanted to see if I could tie it into some type of mythology. So I did some research, and I found out about this creature called a Chenoo, and then kind of adapted it to my story needs. And then did some sketches, designed it. And
so Chenoo is based on a real creature then?
Well, a mythological creature.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's an Indian. It's not a Western New York Indian lore. I believe it's a tribe in the New England area where it comes from. But I can't. I'm not positive. But I just needed it, so I purloined it.
Hey, Steve just asked the question. He wants to know if you've worked with any other Golden Age artists, and how was the experience?
Golden Age?
Yeah.
Worked with. I can't say that I have.
And he also says love Jack Davis.
Yeah, I met Jack Davis. What a sweetheart. He was a sweet guy. Southern gentleman. Yeah, no, I can't think of any other Golden Age guys that I worked with. You know, Dick was pretty far up there. You know, like I said, he was in his 80s at the time.
Oh yeah.
You know,
and we got a question from Flash Dixon. Flash asks, I'm sure it's a common question, but did you anticipate Bane becoming such a lasting and major villain?
No. You hope that everything you create becomes lasting and and enters, kind of pop culture iconography, but it so rarely does. You know, if it was that easy, everybody could do it.
Right.
Sometimes it's the zeitgeist, and Bane was at the right place at the right time and appealed to the right audience. So it's like, lightning struck.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
How long do you think it's going to take you to finish the book?
Well, I want to have it in people's hands by October.
And how many pages is this?
It's 48 pages now. If we hit that stretch goal, it'll be 56, and it might go on from there with pinups and other stuff. If that happens, and I have to expand its size, it might be after October, but that's a good problem to have. People are getting more for their buck, because that's a stretch goal, so it doesn't cost them any more, but they're getting more.
Charlie wants to compliment your shirt.
Oh, my Monster Island shirt?
Yep. He says, nice shirt, Graham. Good
He's
stuff,
obviously
man.
a man of taste.
Yeah, Charlie and I have been friends since 1982. We met when he was a DJ at WFVA in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where we were both from, that area. And he worked as a DJ. He got me my first voice job.
Cool.
I got fired the same day. Yeah, the radio director came in, heard our commercial. Everybody loved it. It even aired. But then the director came in and said, no, and took it off air. It was funny. I was pretty edgy even back in 1982, apparently. John says, gotta love Monster Island. Flash
Awesome.
says, did you have a favorite writer to work alongside? And you can't just fall on Chuck Dixon on this. You have to mention another writer that you love working with.
Well, Chuck is my favorite writer that I've worked with over the years. Trying to think of who else I've worked with. John Ostrander was an excellent writer. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye politically, but an excellent writer. Paul Kupperberg was a great writer too. I did some stuff with Paul.
I don't recognize that name. What was he known for?
Well, Paul was an editor up there, but he also wrote Doom Patrol. He wrote a bunch of stuff, Superman stuff, Supergirl, I think. Yeah, really, really talented writer. He comes from that kind of Stanley, Roy Thomas era style of writing.
Right.
Really good character and good sense of humor, because he wrote a lot of humor stuff for the humor mags too.
Oh, like Mad and Cracked?
I believe, yes. I believe so.
I should know him then. And name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
We have to look him up after the show.
I'm not positive on that, but if it was in-house DC humor stuff, then he wrote some stuff. I'm not positive about whether Cracked was like Marvel's version, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it probably wasn't Cracked. I don't remember Paul ever working.
Yeah, there was Crazy, Cracked, and Mad. Those are the ones I remember.
Yeah.
But because Mad Magazine started it all.
Yeah.
And it was a parody magazine, comedy magazine. And
there was another one after Mad too that Harvey Kurtzman started after he left Mad.
Do you remember that one, Keith?
Yeah.
Last was it Panic or I can't remember. The old brain for what it used to be.
Yeah, not mine either. It's like we hit the big 5-0 and memories just start going to shit.
Well, you gotta clean out the cache system, to get memory.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on this new project. Keith's working with me on it, and I finally was compelled to get back into filmmaking, and just bought my first camera, and of course, the first stuff I write is a horror, which I like the fact that it ties right into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Winter and horror are like my favorite time of the year and the favorite genre to write about. And that's why I really like what you're doing with this Chenoo. Is it Chenoo? Am I saying it right?
You're saying it right. Chenoo.
I got to research this thing because I had no idea it was based on. So I thought it was just something you came up with that was kind of like an evil Bigfoot or something.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, it has the similarities with the Wendigo which is also a Native American, you know.
Yep, specifically in the Northeast.
Yeah, well, so is this one. This one was Northeast too, but the difference is the Wendigo was a spirit, a demonic spirit, I think, whereas the Chenoo was once a man, and I like that aspect. That was once a man, and it was trying to seek its humanity again after its horrible soul purging, whatever it was that they did. So it added an interesting motivation, I think, you know.
Right.
So there's some cool. I got a couple really cool stretch goal, not stretch goals, perk levels that comic fans might be interested in, and there's one spot left available on what I call the victim perk. Now, the victim perk is you are a character that gets killed by the Chenoo. You appear in about 3 pages worth of story. Your face and your name. And then you have a wonderful death at the hands of the Chenoo. In fact, hold on.
Yeah, and part of that perk is Graham goes to your actual house and kills you.
Okay.
Did you hear my joke, Graham?
Huh?
I said, and part of that perk is you show up to their house and actually kill them.
Okay, so here's the scene. Can you see it? Okay.
Hold on, let me make
Yeah.
you. Let's see. I'm going to make you the primary here.
There we go. Okay. Well, this is going to be the
Cool.
first scene that if a fan wants to get in on this, they can. You're going to be a plow driver. So you're in 1, 2, 3, 4 panels here. Okay. And you're in 2 panels here, and you get decapitated.
Woo!
And then you're in the final panel. Shoot, that would be the one page I left. Here we go.
All right.
And then your
Ooh.
head is sitting here in the snow. And the Chenoo is going to be kind of like, well, here on this panel here, hauling your body away.
Someone's got to pay for that. Come on.
So, that is, I think, a really, really cool perk level. The second
That's a
one
bloody cool perk level.
is a survivor level. That one's more expensive because you're going to be one of the people in the house that survives. So you'll be a regular character. You'll be in a good part of the book.
Nice.
Just 3 pages. So.
And John Eric Schmidt wanted to add that there were human Wendigo as well, and they were cannibals.
Okay, so it's a similar type of creature from a different tribe, probably.
Very cool. And Charlie made a joke that if we had 3 more people, we could do a Brady Bunch window.
Okay.
So, but going back to let's go back to the Expendables. Any plans to do it?
Because we ran late, so I gotta run in a couple of minutes.
No problem, buddy.
Oh, okay.
With the Expendables, do you guys plan to do another one? Because I'm sure that it's going really well.
I thought we were going to, but I haven't heard anything otherwise, so that's why I went ahead and started my own project. So,
well, it might take Sylvester, or you call him Sly, I'm sure, now that you're.
I've never met him. I mean, Chuck is the conduit. He knows him and has the connection with him. In fact, Sly's adapting a screenplay of Chuck's
book. Yeah.
Book. So,
so stoked about that shit too.
So that's great.
But I hope that because he has a tendency of like doing a pocket of things, and he'll come back. I am certain we're going to see another Expendables book. It would be insane not to do it, especially with how well it went over.
Oh yeah,
seems like it did really well.
Oh, it did. I've talked to everybody well, Allie as well as I do from Bounding into Comics, and people love that book.
Mm-hmm.
And And of course, you've got that great mix of fans of Stallone and then the fans of you and Chuck's work.
Right.
And you mix it all together. You put your peanut butter in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. That's what happened there, man. That's what happened there. You guys made Reese's cups. Hey, man, anything else you want to go over before you have to go?
No, I don't think so. I would just say to everybody,
keep an eye on those tiers.
Yeah, and
your stretch goal level.
Put the link up when you get a chance, and people check it out.
I post this on YouTube. It will have the link.
Yeah, there's a tier there for everybody. I know things are tough. Money is tight, and I get that. So I tried to make something for everybody. I even have 2 levels for retailers because I think it's important to support the comic shop.
Very true.
2 retail levels in there.
Just to put a bug in your ear, you should also look at the library system because the public libraries are the greatest purchaser of comic books and graphic novels. A lot of people aren't aware of that.
Well, they don't buy floppies.
What's that?
They don't buy floppies.
No, they buy the books.
They buy the books. Yeah. So if this goes up to another level and we decide to make it a hardcover, well then yes, I would do that.
Definitely. Steve Lowenthal has a statement. One of the few comics I've been looking forward to. The Expendables.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you.
And Steve's a cool guy. I always know it's him. I don't even have to see his name. I see the Death Lurker from Frank Frazetta, and I know it's him.
Oh.
Let's see. John Aaron Schmidt adds, if I had $2,000, I would let Graham kill me off in the comic. John, if you had $2,000, you would let him kill you in person.
Save up, John. Save up. Get in on that.
Yeah. Go look at that page. I'm certain there's going to be something there you can put into.
Definitely.
Yeah. And with that, I guess we're done here. You got to get on with your life, and Keith has got to get a better system, and I need to get over my diabetes.
Yeah.
And which I've been working at because we got that gym membership, and I've been steady and going good with it. So you and Richard Bonk are my 2 personal inspirations. You guys are. I'm serious.
The guy has a sound effect as a name. I love Richard.
Yeah, Bonk. He's his last name is an onomatopoeia.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And I've stayed with Richard. I love him and his wife. They're really good people.
Great people.
And he's got a great family, and as do you and your kids. I love it when you guys get together.
We have fun.
There are a few people who I follow personal lives of you and your family, which is why I guess I'm friends with a lot of people in your family because they're just like really good people, the kind of people I wish I was. Even though I got to tell you, Graham, my daughter Zoe. Mm-hmm. She actually wrote me the other night, and she says, "You are a really great dad," and that made me feel really good. And I start to feel like maybe one day I'll be Graham Nolan when I grow up.
Always shoot for the stars. Always shoot.
Damn right. All right, guys. Thanks for being here, Graham. I really appreciate it.
Buddy.
And with that, hey guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for asking questions. And with that, just get the hell out of here. We're so tired of you. Get over the lawns.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Remember, you can find us at Pop Culture Minefield on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again.